I think I finally figured out who and what Edward Snowden is. And it dawned on me today in a magazine store in town. He was on the cover of Wired magazine with that kind of forlorn look on his face, holding an American flag. And of course, he's been, celebrated as this like great hero. Yes, I totally believe that Edward Snowden is an artificial entity. He's a psyop within a psyop. He's almost certainly been created by the intelligence services, the CIA or whoever, to create a counterculture figure with a very specific purpose. And I finally realized what that purpose is. And hold on to yourselves when you hear this one. Edward Snowden is the new Che Guevara. Now you think about that. Che Guevara was the poster boy for the hippies. He looked like the footballer George Best or Jim Morrison or Jesus. The long beard, the long hair, the Jesus Christ Dionysian archetype, and to a huge extent, that's what Russell Brand has continued on with at his end of the control grid with his fake revolution. But Edward Snowden is a new Che Guevara. It's the new version of that, but for the 21st century transhumanist. Edward Snowden, this is how devious and clever these psychopaths in charge really are. This is how they think. It'd be no point picking someone who looked like a rock star to be the sort of the face of counterculture going into the future, because rock and roll is dead. Rock music is dead. That means nothing to anyone. So if you are going to create a poster boy for the future of fake counterculture, what would you make him look like? You would make him look like a guy who works on an IT help desk. You would make him look like a guy who works as a computer programmer. You would make him look like a guy who would be a software engineer. Because that's the model going forward. These are the people they want to relate to, Edward Snowden. That's the person they will relate to. And we live in an age where basically you have Edward Snowden and you have him as the Che Guevara of the IT help desk, techie nerd, fake counterculture. And that image of him on the cover of Wired will become that new version of the Che Guevara poster. So that's the purpose of Edward Snowden. He's the fake counterculture icon for the IT help desk, techie generation types, people who don't really they've almost got like kind of a social Asperger's, and so they think their minds think and function like computer code. This is why when they're challenged with an opinion they can't deal with, or they haven't met before, they'll call that person a troll. And the reason for that is because they see that as a kind of like they see an opinion they don't understand as a corruption of a string of code in computer language. And those people are now, so many of them in the world and in such a position of sort of like economic stability, that they still need to believe that there's somehow counterculture. So they create a Che Guevara for the transhumanist 21st century counterculture, and that's Edward Snowden. And that's how clever and devious these motherfuckers who run the world are. So Edward Snowden, he's not real. He hasn't released anything that's real. Even the whole thing of the sexy Russian spy wanting to marry him, that's like, all these nerds on the help desk are all, that's their sort of fantasy come true. Some sexy foreign girl marrying them. Because they're nerdy and geeky, but they want nerdy and geeky robots, left-brained robots who question nothing, but still like to believe they're somehow cool. They're Richard Dawkins' book. So what a psyop, eh? Pretty amazing. Edward Snowden. Don't believe it. If you do, you've been played into a trap.